There are moments when the body speaks before the soul understands. Long before the mind can grasp what's happening, the body begins to stir. It shifts, it stretches, it breathes in unfamiliar rhythms. And though nothing is visibly wrong, something within you feels different. You're not sick, you're not broken, but something has changed. You walk through your day, and without warning, your hands move differently. Your breath deepens, your body tenses, then releases, as if it's remembering something it never got the chance to finish. These aren't accidents, these aren't nerves, they are signals. What you feel isn't chaos, it's order, re-establishing itself in silence. You see, when God begins to heal, He doesn't always begin with words. Sometimes He starts with breath. Sometimes with a stretch in the spine, a warmth in the chest, or an ache in places that used to carry sorrow. Healing isn't always loud, it often begins in stillness. A sacred rearranging of what you thought you'd buried. If your body has felt like it's moving ahead of your understanding, you're not imagining things. Something holy is unfolding within you. And before your soul can put it into words, your body is already bearing witness. Let's walk together through 5 rare signs that your body is being healed, and how each one reveals the grace already at work beneath the surface. And if any part of this message resonates with you, share the words, "My healing has already begun," in the comments. Let your body's testimony be known. Sign 1. Subtle tongue pressure or clenching. There are moments when something in your body shifts without warning. No pain, no obvious cause, just a quiet sensation, a gentle pressure from your tongue against the roof of your mouth or softly resting along your teeth. It isn't dramatic, it isn't even noticeable to others. But to you, it feels persistent, almost deliberate. You're not chewing, you're not nervous, and still, the pressure returns. This kind of subtle physical response is often overlooked. Most would dismiss it as habit or tension, but for those in the midst of deep spiritual healing, it is a sign worth noticing. Because when healing reaches the hidden places of the heart, the body becomes its first messenger. The tongue is a sacred vessel. It holds more than taste and speech. It stores restraint, memory, silence. Every time you held your voice for the sake of peace, every time you bit your words to avoid conflict, every time you swallowed your pain and smiled instead, the body remembered, and the tongue bore the weight. Now, as the soul begins to heal, the tongue moves differently. Not because you told it to, but because something deeper is being released. The pressure you feel is the body making space, not to speak just anything, but to allow truth to rise unfiltered. It's not about rehearsing the right words. It's about removing the weight of the wrong ones. This isn't dysfunction. This is sacred restraint, the kind that waits in reverence, not fear, the kind that listens before speaking, the kind that holds silence, not because it's forced, but because it's finally safe to pause. Sometimes the pressure comes during prayer, sometimes while reading, sometimes in total stillness. But in every case, it signals alignment. The body is no longer suppressing. It is bearing witness to a shift, one where the old voice, shaped by defense or survival, no longer fits. And instead of rushing to fill the space, the body waits. This waiting is part of the healing. The tongue has known how to perform, how to protect, how to please. But now it is learning something else, something holy. And as this retraining happens from within, the muscles remember, not how to react, but how to rest. Not how to fight, but how to flow. Over time, you may notice the pressure fades. And when it does, what remains is stillness. Not silence from fear, but silence from freedom. A space where words no longer have to prove anything. A space where speech becomes clear, honest, and calm. So if your tongue has been moving in ways you can't explain, don't dismiss it. Don't rush to fix it. Let it be what it is, a quiet testimony that your body is no longer bound to the past. Something sacred is being released. And your body knows it before your mind does. Sign 2. Sudden glimpses of shadow or movement. You're walking through your home, not in fear, not looking for anything, just moving through an ordinary moment. And then it happens. A flicker in the corner of your eye, a brief silhouette near a doorway, a shadow that shifts, but when you turn to face it, nothing's there. At first, you might wonder if it's your eyes playing tricks on you. You blink, pause, adjust your vision, but it continues. Quiet, fleeting, without explanation. These glimpses do not come with malice. They do not press fear into your chest. And still they stir something deep, something reverent. Because you know what you saw, even if only for a second. It wasn't a person. It wasn't a shape you could name. But it moved with presence. It felt real. These are not hallucinations. They are not fantasies. They are not symptoms of distress. What you're experiencing is the soft edge of a veil being lifted. The veil between what is seen and what is sacred. During times of deep spiritual healing, the body begins to reawaken in places that were once dulled by pain, fear, or overexposure to noise. The nervous system quiets. The senses soften. And in that space, perception begins to shift. You begin to notice things that were always there but never visible. Not because they suddenly arrived, but because, for the first time, you've become still enough to see them. These sudden glimpses, the shadow that moves gently past a hallway, the sense of someone standing just out of frame, are not meant to threaten. They are echoes. Echoes of memories, energies, moments once buried beneath layers of noise. And now, as healing unfolds, they rise again. But here's what matters. The fear you expect never comes. What fills the space instead is awe. Not panic, not confusion, but a strange, solemn reverence. As if the room has deepened somehow. As if something invisible has finally made itself known. This, too, is healing. The eyes are not just for seeing light and color. They're gates, spiritual ones. And when your heart begins to mend, when the inner world becomes safe again, those gates begin to open wider. Not wildly, not all at once, but in quiet flashes. Brief invitations to recognize that you are not just flesh and thought, you are also spirit. And spirit knows how to see what the body once dismissed. Sometimes these visions come when you are tired, other times after prayer or in moments of solitude. But regardless of when they appear, they follow no pattern. That's because they are not being triggered, they are being revealed. And you are simply ready to receive. Do not chase them. Do not fear them. Let them pass like wind through a curtain. They are not demanding attention. They are offering confirmation that the atmosphere around you has changed. That your healing is not only internal, it's reshaping the space around you. And if you've seen what no one else saw, even just for a second, know this. Your eyes are not betraying you. They are beginning to testify. Sign 3. Discomfort with your own reflection. You walk past a mirror, not searching for anything, not checking your appearance, just passing by. But something in you stops. Your eyes catch your own, and for a moment, the image doesn't settle. It doesn't feel wrong, but it doesn't feel familiar either. Like the face looking back belongs to someone you once knew but haven't seen in years. There's no judgment in your thoughts, no vanity, no shame. But a quiet disconnect rises up. You're aware, even if you can't explain it, that something isn't aligned. The features are yours, the body is yours, and yet, it doesn't feel like home. This is not a crisis. This is not confusion. It's a sign. When spiritual healing begins to reshape your life, it doesn't always change what's around you first. It changes what's within you, slowly, gently, consistently. And as that healing deepens, your inner world starts to move faster than the outer one can follow. That's where the discomfort comes from. The mirror holds the version of you that carried pain, defense, patterns of survival, the posture you formed when you didn't feel safe, the expressions shaped by years of effort and holding back. It's not deception. It's simply memory, the body's way of remembering who you had to become. But now something underneath has begun to shift. God heals in layers, and when He touches the heart, when He restores the hidden places, identity begins to change. You no longer carry the same internal weight, but the body still wears some of its clothes. The face holds a faint echo of who you were, even as the soul is already becoming someone new. That sense of unfamiliarity in your reflection isn't vanity, it's resonance. The inner world is ahead of the outer, and the mirror hasn't caught up. You may find yourself avoiding mirrors more often, not because you dislike what you see, but because it no longer reflects how you feel. You might scroll through old photos and sense a gap, not just in time, but in spirit. The person in the picture is still you, but only in part. And that's what makes this discomfort sacred. It means the old has begun to fade, not in rebellion, but in release, not in shame, but in surrender. The healing that God has begun in secret is now beginning to change what is visible. The world may still recognize your face, but heaven is calling forth your name. The one hidden beneath roles and memories, the one formed not by fear, but by truth. So when the mirror feels foreign, don't be alarmed. Don't rush to feel normal again. That old reflection is not your enemy. It's just a chapter being gently closed. Your body is waiting to reflect what your spirit already knows, that you are no longer who you once were. And soon, the outside will begin to mirror the mercy that's been written deep within. Sign 4. Sudden awareness of the tongue's weight. It catches you off guard. You're reading or walking or simply sitting, not thinking about your body at all, when suddenly you feel it. The weight, the size, the presence of your tongue. Not in pain, not swollen, not sick, but unmistakably there, as if it suddenly remembered its place in your body and now it's quietly asking you to notice. You try to ignore it, but the sensation lingers, not in discomfort, but in awareness. This too is a sign. The tongue is one of the most overlooked parts of the body when it comes to spiritual healing, yet in Scripture it is treated with deep reverence. James says the tongue is a small member, yet it boasts of great things, capable of blessing and cursing, of steering the course of a life. So when you begin to heal at a spiritual level, it's no surprise that the tongue would respond. Not by speaking first, but by asking you to listen. This sudden awareness isn't about speech, it's about attention. Your body is drawing your focus inward, not toward noise, but toward the very place where expression begins. Because the tongue is not just a tool for communication, it is a gate. A meeting point between breath and voice, between what you feel and what you release. As the inner world heals, the body begins to recalibrate what it lets through. And sometimes, the first step in that recalibration is stillness. God is doing something in you that requires a pause before expression. A delay, not out of hesitation, but out of holiness. The tongue is resting in this moment not because it's weak, but because it's being recentered. There are ancient beliefs that the tongue connects energetically to deeper channels of life force, and while we don't place our faith in theory, we do understand this. The Spirit of God moves through breath, and the tongue stands at the gate. When that movement becomes sacred again, the gate must be retrained. That's why the sensation feels unusual. It's not a signal to speak, it's a call to wait, to become aware, to surrender even the smallest part of ourselves to the gentleness of God's healing hand. You may not have thought about your tongue before. You may have used it freely, to explain, to defend, to fill the silence. But now, your body is asking you to be still, to notice, to understand that even the tongue can be redeemed. And in that strange moment of awareness, when you feel its weight, its stillness, its holy quiet, something shifts. It's not just the tongue that's being prepared, it's your presence, your posture, your relationship with sound, with speech, with stillness. Because when God heals, He doesn't just heal what was broken, He reorders what was misused. And even the smallest member must be made new. Sign 5. Isolated itching in specific spots. It starts as something small. An itch, nothing urgent, nothing alarming, just a sudden tingle on the back of your neck or the middle of your chest, maybe your left shoulder blade, maybe the space between your fingers. So you do what anyone would do, you scratch, but the sensation doesn't go away. You try again, still no relief. It's not a rash. There's no redness, no heat, no visible cause. The skin is clear, but the sensation lingers, like something inside is trying to reach the surface. This too is a sign. When spiritual healing is underway, the body becomes an instrument of release, not just emotionally, not just mentally, but physically. And what was once buried deep in the body's memory begins to rise, not through words, but through sensation. These isolated itches, strange as they seem, are not distractions, they are signals. Every part of the body holds memory, not just the brain. The skin, the muscles, the joints, they carry fragments of what you've lived through. Times you felt unsafe, moments you held in grief, emotions you never had the chance to express. The body didn't forget. It simply stored them until it felt safe enough to let them go. And when that time comes, the signal is subtle. A small itch, a gentle flicker beneath the skin, one that scratching cannot soothe, because it's not coming from the surface, it's coming from within. You're not imagining this. You're not hypersensitive. You're healing. In the same way a scar itches when it begins to close, these spiritual itches arise when deeper wounds are being addressed. They don't hurt, but they persist, because the body is doing its work. Processing, clearing, making room for something new. You might notice these itches come in moments of rest, not stress. When you're lying still, when you're quiet, when the nervous system is calm enough to start its repair. Each spot means something. The chest, a place where heartbreak once settled. The neck, where words were swallowed or truth was restrained. The hands, where action was frozen or touch withheld. None of this needs to be analyzed. The body knows its own language, and when healing begins, it speaks. Your only task is to listen, not with your ears, but with your awareness, to pause, to breathe, to acknowledge that something is leaving and it does not need to be chased. This is the compassion of God, that even what you forgot is still being tended to, that even what never made it to your conscious memory is not beyond His reach. He heals what you remember and what you don't. So the next time you feel that subtle itch that won't go away, don't rush past it, don't panic. Let it be what it is, a quiet sign that something once hidden is finally being released. And in its place, something holy is being restored. Healing isn't always silent. It doesn't always come wrapped in peace or stillness. Sometimes it arrives trembling, through the nerves, through the breath, through a sudden stretch or a flicker beneath the skin. And while the world may dismiss these sensations as strange or meaningless, heaven knows better. These signs are not distractions, they are not disruptions, they are confirmations. When God begins to heal what was broken, He does not work from the outside in. He works from the inside out. And the soul, once touched by His restoring hand, begins to echo through the body. Slowly, faithfully, precisely. You may not understand what your body is doing. You may feel movements you didn't expect, sensations you didn't ask for. But don't be afraid. Don't rush to silence what is speaking. The body remembers pain, but it also remembers freedom. And when healing begins, it reaches into places you forgot were wounded. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to control it. Just recognize it. That deep breath, that unexpected yawn, that warmth in your chest or pressure in your mouth, they're not signs of confusion. They are signs of reordering, because what the Lord restores, He restores completely. And even the flesh will bear witness to the freedom being born again in the Spirit. So listen closely. Your body is telling the truth. Healing has already begun.